Hello everyone. I welcome you all in another video on AWS which is presented by Capartech-Online videos. This video is specifically on AWS launch regions, its availability zones and the basics on virtual private cloud VPC. So AWS, as you know, is a leading cloud service provider as of now in market. AWS is spread across 33 launch regions and these all regions are connected with each other by using AWS backbone network. Those backbone networks are physical cables which is connecting each of these regions together. So even though data is transferred over wire, over internet, over routers, it's also connected through cables. And over these cables, high bandwidth data transfer speed is provided to customers. These regions do have each of these regions to have data centers present within it, to which we call as availability zones. In total, AWS do have 105 availability zones as of now till date. On an average, each region do have 3 availability zones, 33 launch regions, 105 availability zones. These regions are divided across all the 7 continents which is present as of now. The spread of availability zones across various regions is presented by AWS on its official website. The link of the official website is present there in this slide. To show you, this is the website where AWS is presenting the spread of its region and distribution of availability zones on those regions. Like the way you can see, if you just hover across these regions, you get to know which what these regions belong to, on which geographical regions these regions belongs to, and how many availability zones are there which is present in these regions. Also it gives you more detail what is the launched year for these regions. You see, some are green, some are red are in progress, still to be launched, but green are those which are already launched. In Asia, we do have availability zones which are of count of 3. We do have availability zones which is present there in Mumbai also. So we have 3 availability zones in Mumbai and we have 3 availability zones which is present in Hyderabad. We do have spread of availability zones across South America, North America and European regions also. Now, these all availability zones and regions actually provides huge support to customers, because AWS customers are not confined at any specific location or any specific regions. We do have millions of customers which is using AWS cloud as of now, and those customers are spread across various regions, various availability zones. And with the spread of this availability zones and regions, customers are getting proper bandwidth for their data transfer. Now, in order to create any resource in AWS cloud, customer use well-defined architecture of AWS. AWS follows a very simple but very important, very highly useful architecture. It says that whenever we create AWS cloud, AWS is going to offer customer a virtual private network. In that virtual private network, customer can create its own resources, and those resources are isolated from resources which is created by other customers. Customers feel as if resources which is created by them are unique, specific and private to them, though it might happen that customer may be using shared infrastructure or shared resources which is present there in Amazon data centers, AWS data centers. In AWS cloud, customers create their resources specific to each region. In each of the region, we do have VPC, to which we call as virtual private cloud. Virtual private cloud is a managed service which is offered by AWS, by using which by using which each of the customer gets the feel of having an isolation of resources from any other customers. Customers create wide variety of resources. Customer create compute resources, storage resources, database resources, networking resources, based on their business need, based on the requirement of their business. And with the architecture, with the well defined, highly sophisticated architecture of AWS, customer get the feel of having an isolation of their resources. This provides customers great trust on AWS, and also customers get into in return huge security by using which they can just control or they can manage their sensitive data. In each of the VPC, we do have availability zones. So we create availability zones within a VPC. VPC hovers across. VPC scope of VPC is within a region, but can go multiple availability zones. Multiple availability zones can reside within a VPC, but one availability zone can be present in one VPC only. We cannot have availability zones. We cannot have availability zones or the resources which is created in availability zones to have connectivity outside VPC unless we are using some other enhanced features. But the scope of this video will be to understand what VPC is, what is the default VPC, and how to create a custom VPC. So let's understand that. VPC, as we understood, it's a managed service offered by AWS. Whenever we create an account in AWS, we get a default VPC. One VPC gets created by default as we create an account there in AWS. Now, in order to search for the VPC which is created by default with the creation of account, let's click on search and type VPC. As we hit on VPC, it gives us the display of VPC which is present there. Like the way you can see, I'm looking for the VPC which is present in Asia Pacific region, and the count of this VPC is 1. If I click on this VPC, it gives me the name of the VPC and says that tenancy of the VPC is default. So basically this is the VPC which is created by default. Never ever try to delete this VPC, because once you have deleted this VPC, you will not be able to create any resource in this specific region. For that, again, you have to get hold of customer support team and they will be able to retrieve this VPC back. So do not ever try to delete this VPC, which is the default one. Now let's create a new VPC, a custom VPC of our own. In order to create a custom VPC, at the right top you can see the option is create VPC. Click on this option. It gives you two radio buttons. One is VPC only and another is VPC and more. I'm going to choose the option is VPC only to begin with. And the first thing which it looks for is name of the VPC. I'm going to give a name, my custom VPC. Consider this is the name which I'm giving. You can give any name of your choice. Again, it's choosing IP version 4 CIDR block. Now, each of the VPC provides you the feasibility to choose certain IP addresses. It gives you flexibility to choose both the kind of IP addresses, IP version 4 and IP version 6. IP version 4, which is of 32-bit, and IP version 6, which is of 128-bit, which you actually get while you are creating the resources. So as of now, I'm choosing IP version 4 only, and it says that version 4 CIDR, which is classless interdomain routing block, which you have to choose, looks something like this. So you can also put the values something like this to begin with. There are more complexities, more things, more technicalities on it, which we are going to talk about in our upcoming videos. Now the CIDR block size must be between /16 and /28. I'll explain in my next video what is this /16 and /28 mean. But to begin with, let's just put a basic CIDR block. I want to give the value as 10.0.1.0, and I'll put the value as /24. This gives me a flexibility of 2 to the power 6 number of IPs. 32 minus 24, which is 32 minus 24, which is 8. So basically, it gives me the flexibility to choose 2 to the power 8 number of IPs. Now, once you scroll down, it choose the tenancy as default. I will just let it remain default for now and click on create VPC. As I click on create VPC, it will create a VPC immediately within no time. Like the way you can see, my custom VPC. Now I just created a my custom VPC. VPC is having same sort of IPv4 CIDR block which I've chosen while I was creating it, which is 10.0.1.0/24, and it is not having any route table associated to it, neither it's having any ACL associated to it. Now it says that default VPC is no. You see, the first one which was initially created as we created an account says that the default VPC is yes, but the one which we created just now says default VPC as no, because this is the one which we created in our as per our custom needs, right? So friends, this is the way we create our default VPC, and this is the way we create our custom VPC. Default VPC though gets created automatically with the creation of our account. Okay, so this was the scope of this video. Thank you for watching. In my next video, I'll talk more about how to create multiple resources in AWS within a VPC, outside a VPC, and we'll talk about more of the architectures of VPC, which is having resources created within it. Also, I'll talk about networking and CIDR blocks, which is associated with any of the networking, along with the firewall rules or certain firewall configurations which we do to ensure that our application is safe and is controlled well from any of the external bugs or any of the external attacks. Thank you everyone for watching this videos. I'll see you in my next video.